Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaitlin and today we are going to do my August reading wrap up. Now if you watched my August TBR video, I had high hopes, okay? I had high hopes. It was so much fun to choose my TBR on my new board game I made. If you missed that video, be sure to check it. I will link it down below. Anyways, I had high hopes for this month, okay? And I only chose 5 books on my TBR. Did I finish them? No, I did not. August was really a slow reading month for me, but at the same time, I had so much fun. Like, this was one of my favorite reading months ever. I really loved every single book that I read this month. There wasn't one book that I read I was like, I didn't really like that. I absolutely love all of the books I read this month. I only finished 2 books of my actual TBR, and we'll go through them, and then I'll also update you on the other books of my TBR because I actually did read a couple of them. I just haven't finished them, and it is the end of August. I only finished 4 books this month, which is quite slow, but you know what? I really actually enjoyed every single book that I was reading. So without any further ado, let's get into it. The first book I read this month was Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Now, I gave this a 4.7 stars. Thinking about it now, I should have probably rated it a little lower. I should have probably given it a 4 on my Instagram. If you don't follow me there, I'll link that down below too. You can go check it out. I did leave a review there, and I think I gave it a 4.7 stars. But if we're being honest right now, as I'm feeling today, probably a 4 stars is more valid. In its own, I did quite enjoy it. The reading style is fine. It's quite fast paced. It's not very advanced. It's not very high fantasy. It's a super easy read, and I think it's great for anyone trying to get into fantasy. So that would be great. I did have a couple of problems with the book though. I think the author used some things that were very oddly specific that I've seen in other books. She used exactly like that in here, and so that's hence why also I cannot give it a 5 stars, because there were just some things in these books that were way too specific that I was like, that seems a bit suspicious as to literally why did you use that in this book when it was used in another book directly. It was a bit too specific. But I do have a reading vlog coming out quite soon where I go into a bit more depth into my thoughts on this book, which is a bit more of a spoiler version, and I didn't want this video to be a spoiler version, so I have a vlog coming out with a little bit more of like my in-depth thoughts on this book, so stay tuned for that. Basically, we follow our 2 main characters, Hayden and Kai, and basically it's set in a society where some of the people in society have abilities and some of the people in the society don't have abilities. They're called ordinaries, I believe. Basically, our main character, Hayden, pretends to have abilities, and also they have trials in this book, very much like Hunger Games. You get chosen and then you have to go and fight in this group for something. Really, I don't actually know what they're fighting for. Then they have all these things that they have to do, and they have to survive, and then like they kill each other. And then the love story in here is really cool. I love it. It is super tensioning. It's very much like enemies to lovers, and I absolutely love it. Enemies to lovers is my favorite, and I really enjoyed both of our main characters, especially our male main character. Kai was, I loved him. One of the top book boyfriends from now on is Kai. Really enjoyed reading this book. Also, spice wise, now if you've been following along on my channel here, you will know that I don't really enjoy spice in my books. This has no spice, 0. It was lovely. They don't even kiss in this book. Great. Like, there's just tension, and it's a super slow burn. It's absolutely lovely. So if you're looking for a fantasy book with no spice, definitely this is a great choice. Overall, I really did enjoy the story and the premise of the book. I'll probably give it a 4 star. And if you want my more in-depth thoughts on this book, coming very soon. The second book that I read in August was right after I read Powerless. I read Powerful, which is kind of Hayden's best friend Adina's story and her point of view. How it's set up is you read the Powerless book, and then there's a storyline, and then after Powerless you go back and read Adina's storyline of the same story, what like happened to her and her story and her love story, and it's absolutely beautiful. I really loved it. I was sobbing the entire time. So without giving too much away, something happens at the end of Powerless and breaks your heart, like really breaks your heart. And then when you go and read Adina's point of view, you see how everything unfolds, and you get a bit more of like behind the scenes of how that storyline unfolded. And it was so great. I'm literally getting goosebumps right now. It was so great, but I was sobbing. I was absolutely sobbing. It was so good. I'm not gonna give it a rating because it is just, it's not a full book on its own, it's like half a book. But it was really great. I loved our main characters. Our female main character was Adina, and then I can't remember what the other guy's name was, but their love story was really beautiful. I loved how it unfolded and it was great. I was just sobbing, absolutely sobbing. Every single book I read this month had me in tears at least once. Yeah, second book I read this month was Powerful. Now let's go on to the third book I read. It was actually Funny Story by Emily Henry. This was on my TBR, and this was actually one of the books that my boyfriend chose for me. Now, this is the second Emily Henry book that I've read. The first Emily Henry book I read was Book Lovers, and I actually have a vlog on that on my channel. I'll also link that. That was such a fun read. I gave that a 5 stars, and this one deserves a 5 stars as well. I really enjoy the twists that Emily Henry puts on her love stories, because the situation that they find themselves in is actually quite bizarre, and it's just unlike the books like you read like normal romance books. They have a very cliche storyline, where I think Emily Henry throws it on its head and makes it something completely different, which I absolutely love. So in this book, we follow our two main characters, Daphne and Miles. Daphne is in love with Peter. They are dating for a couple of years, and then they get engaged, and then literally about to get married. Like, he goes on his bachelor party and then comes home and he's like, sorry Daphne, I can't do this. I'm actually in love with my best friend. That's how the book starts. Like, imagine your fiance coming back after his bachelor party and saying, sorry, I can't marry you, I'm actually in love with my best friend. I told you not to worry about it because it was platonic. Yeah, I know. This is why I also think in like a real life, I don't know how I feel about male and male best friend situations. I think that they're dangerous, and I just think that that can definitely lead to some things, which we see in this book. So she and her fiance break up, obviously, because he's like, I'm in love with my best friend. And then his best friend, she has a boyfriend as well that she's been dating, and his name is Miles. So obviously the two of them break up as well. And then Daphne ends up going to Miles's apartment and staying with him because he has an extra room, and obviously both of them just broke up. His girlfriend and her fiance are now together. So it's like a very messed up situation. So they're both kind of in the same situation, like they've just been dumped, and you know, now they have to figure out like what's next. Daphne is a librarian. Miles works at a restaurant, kind of has small town feeling to it, like everyone in the town knows everybody and there's like cute spots where they go. Daphne works at the library and also like has a beautiful friendship that blossoms with one of her co-workers, and I really enjoyed reading that. Like, I feel female friendships are so empowering when you read about them, and they truly care about each other, and they're not just trying to be friends to kind of get something out of the other person, but they truly are friends and they love each other and they, you know, have a meaningful relationship. That was also really nice. It has a bit of a sense of a found family, because our main character kind of moved to the town for her fiance, so she doesn't really know a lot of people, and then because of Miles, she gets to know so many people in the town and makes friends, and so sort of a found family kind of thing. And then obviously the story is about her and Miles then blossoming into a romance. At first it's a fake relationship, trying to get back at their exes, and they kind of post pictures and kiss in front of them to kind of make them jealous or whatever, but then they blossom into a beautiful romance. So that's kind of the premise of this book. I really enjoyed it. I think Emily Henry is one of my favorite authors now because she has made me love romance books. I am definitely going to read more of her books. Definite 5 stars for me for Funny Story. I absolutely love this book. I literally read it in a span of like 24 hours. I picked it up the one night when I got home and then read it the next day, and then like by the next night I was finished. I loved it so much. It had me crying as well during this book. Like, I really did cry. It was so beautiful. I loved the characters. I loved how they developed as people and in their relationships, and just the setting. The pace was great. Everything, the like writing style was absolutely amazing. All-rounder, great book. And if you're looking for a nice like summery holiday fun romance read, I would definitely recommend. The final book that I read for this month was A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the third book. Yes, the third book in the ACOTAR series. I really loved it. Like 5 stars, like infinity stars for this book. I really enjoyed it so much. My ACOTAR ranking so far, the first book I think I gave her 3 stars. I didn't enjoy it so much. It took me a while kind of to get into the book and it wasn't great. Second book, Court of Mist and Fury, was one of my favorite books I've ever read. Okay, I absolutely loved it, adored it. Now this book, I'm not sure which one like trumps it. Like at first, in the first part of the book, I was thinking A Court of Mist and Fury is definitely better. But then nearing the end, I don't know, literally the last about probably 10 chapters of this book, I was sobbing. I was just crying and crying and crying because it's like all 3 books worked up to this point, and this was what it was all about all along. Everything just came together and I was absolutely sobbing. It was so great, like so much emotion. The characters in here, the found family in here, like the friend group is so amazing. I am really glad that I picked up this series because I really didn't want to pick up the series because it was so hyped over the last couple of years. Again, if you get past the first book, I do think the rest of the series is worth it, and I truly enjoyed the storyline. And I think our main character also has really grown. I didn't quite like Feyre in the beginning, like in the first book. I didn't really like any of the characters except for Rhys. In here, I've really grown to love Feyre so much, and we get to see a bit more of her sisters and just all of the friend groups. Like there's a lot more characters that are introduced, a lot more world building. You get to see all the High Lords of all the courts in this book. I have no idea which one is which. Like I can literally name the Spring Court, probably the Autumn Court and the Night Court. The rest of them, I have no idea. Like their names get thrown around so much in this book. I have no idea who any of them are, but I do think it's quite nice to see other characters, and you also see like some of the other abilities some of the other characters have. And I really truly think there's like so much going on, and there's some new love stories that are blossoming. Now obviously I don't want to give away too much for anyone who hasn't read the series. Like I do think you should go and pick it up, but there's like a few stories blossoming and I'm very excited about that. So I have actually started on the next book. It's right over there, A Court of Frost and Starlight. It's so thin, like literally you go from this one to this. I'm very excited to also finish that one. But yeah, so A Court of Wings and Ruin, definitely a 5 stars for me. Like it's so great. Like loved it. I have not yet decided which one's my favorite between book number 2 and book number 3. I do feel like the end of this book might maybe, but I cried so much in this book. Maybe it's gonna surpass the second book. I don't know yet. But anyways, those are the books that I finished this month. There was actually one other book that I was reading that was on my TBR, which is a non-fiction book, Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco, I believe, and it has been an absolute great book. But I was reading it for an entire week. I was reading it on my Kindle for an entire week, just that, and I got 40% in. It is a much longer book than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be quite a fast pace, especially the first few chapters. It feels so fast paced and the chapters are so short, and I really thought I was going to get it past it, like through it quite quickly, but it's turned out to be such a long book. So I'm actually only 40% in. I haven't not finished it. Like I said, I literally sat for an entire week straight and just read that book. So I took a pause on it a little bit, and so I haven't finished that. But it is a good book and I'm hoping to finish it next month. Then the other book I started reading was A Witch Storm by James Clemens, which is the second book in the Ban and the Banished series, which I am busy with. But also, like I said, like you can see, I am only this far in. I'm about 60 pages in, so that I'm not going to finish that before the month is over. So those are the 4 books that I read this month: Powerless and Powerful by Lauren Roberts, A Story by Emily Henry, and then A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed the books that I read in this month, even though they were fewer than I would have liked to read. I absolutely loved every single book I read, so I'm very glad with my choice of books that I had. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe and like this video and turn on those post notifications to not miss any further episodes. I'll see you all next time. Bye!